Well, then I will pick on you while our others are munching and we're setting up here. I mean, we got a little bit of time today, right? Again, we're back. In some ways, maybe we can even translate this over because it is springtime in Mesomaska, and for all we know, the longer days are here. We have more time to play in the sun. I'm sorry for that, Mordecai. But the days are only getting brighter and longer. So give us a perspective of what's going on in the story, either overall or immediately. This is your spotlight, especially for those people who may not have been here or have been following. These recaps are a good way for them to have a latch-on point. You don't have to go through the entirety of the story, but what is on your character's mind right now with what's happening? What are your thoughts?
Well, as I said last time, it's still the same day as still less than 10 minutes after I've spilled my entire party. To be fair. So, still feeling a little bit vulnerable after that. Just kind of contemplating about why it is that a fiend was coming after Bambartilus, and now have we angered that fiend, and it's going to come after us. So, yes, we were able to kind of pin down one fiend with Bright's banishment spell and take care of the rest. But I don't know. Is this archfiend that Bambartilus had pledged himself to his wife? Is she going to start coming after us? I'm worried about that most of all for the time being. Because we're not prepared. I don't think.
That does seem to be a kind of a rogue agent, as if there weren't enough things going on with what the Shadhar Empire are just sort of always they're lurking. All this stuff
Vampires,
is awakening.
We've got Fae. We've got a possible revenant in Raphael. We've got just all sorts of manner of things that just need our attention and or need to be dealt with, and that's overwhelming. That's a lot.
Well, you are approaching Greenshield. Is there anything there that you are personally hoping to discover, to do? What are your hopes here for traveling further south along the western half of the mountains that split Mesomaska?
In Greenshield, I'm more or less just concerned with earning a bit of money because we're kind of party poor.
Mm-hmm.
Just to be able to keep some people alive, like buying some diamonds for revivify spells for Serene. That would be nice. So things like me don't happen again. That's what I'm concerned with for the most part. There's nothing else really for me in Greenshield. It's a nice town, but
yeah, it's not the bustling metropolis of any of the major regional capitals or even of Old Port, which
is actually refreshing because I like smaller towns. I
Oh,
mean,
all
Old
right.
Port was nice when I lived there, but smaller towns are kind of where you get to relax.
Hopefully so. The title of this episode may hopefully come to pass. Maybe, right? Whoever wrote that title can always hope, but whoever wrote that title doesn't know what your all's decisions will ultimately be. All right, now we go over to. Oh, hi, Bright. You just popped in. Are you good to go to tell us what's on your mind, or do you need a minute?
Am I last?
You don't have to be. You could be next.
No, I don't want to be next. I want to be last.
Oh, you want to be last? Oh, all right. Well,
Not here.
aha. Well then, yeah. That's fine. I've been giving Norelai a little bit of time here to finish up.
I'm good.
You're
What?
good now? Okay. All right. So then we're gonna go to
Okay.
our other tiefling next, and then we'll go to Jade, and then we'll go to Bright. So Norelai, you have had a rather intense experience here over the last, I mean, really, like we were talking about 10 minutes, kind of in the immediate time frame that Mordecai brought up, but things have been getting a little bit more intense for you. What's going on in your noggin there with your crown of horns and your wonderful violet skin?
I'm really upset about a lot of things. And, like, I didn't want to, be fighting undead, fiendish people.
Mm.
But, we just happened to fight undead, fiendish people. And I wasn't happy about it. And they kept attacking me, even though I didn't really do much. And, like, there was a whole river, and everyone was on the other side. They could have attacked them. I don't know why they went for me.
You're just a very popular person, it seems.
Meh.
You dealt with them fairly well. Does that have you on any sort of? Does that make you feel better, or is that not really processed yet?
No, I'm not happy.
All
Not
right.
happy about it.
Well, does anything about Greenshield make you happy? I mean, you know that your brother was in this neck of the woods, not that long ago, a couple days ago. Are there any glimmers of hope or joy in your eyes, or is visiting this place going to do anything for you?
Well, if he's there, I'll be very. But if he's not there, I'll probably be sad again.
Well, I can't tell you either way, but who knows? I hope that you can find something along this journey that you've been on, besides being a little bit of a grump, which is understandable. Any other observations? Any other hopes, dreams, fears, frustrations? Anything that you'd like to share?
I just want to leave. I don't like this place. I don't really like this Bambartilus guy.
Mm-hmm.
Because, we wouldn't have fought fiendish people unless we met him.
That's true. He did seem to bring this on himself through his actions, and he has, you're chasing your brother, and Bambartilus seems to be chased by his past. I wonder if there's some sort of maybe not a parallel, but as there is some chasing going on, if there's any sort of perspective that his struggle might be able to reveal or offer some guidance to you, Norelai.
I don't think so, because I didn't do anything stupid. I'm not proud.
Well, you're probably also
I
not
guess
a
I'm
demonic
doing
ex-wife,
something,
but there is a chaser and a chasee, and
Not really a chase. He doesn't know I'm following him. Because, like, he left, and, he didn't, like, think I'd be coming after him. But, he should have at least told me where I was going, or told me when he'd be back, but he didn't. So here I am.
Here you are, always on the way. All right. Well, thank you, Norelai. It may not put the goal of finding your brother directly in front of you, but maybe blowing off a little steam like this. Special effects provided by Jade can help out. Speaking of which, let's go over to Jade. With the cat walking in front of the camera, kind of provided that sort of transition. What's going on with you, Jade? You were ripping out spines. You were doing all kinds of stuff with these these blasts. You were putting in work.
It's because they're not supposed to be here. They're not supposed to be here. That's the thing, and no one seems to understand that. No one seems to understand that. This is the wheels falling off the wagon, and I'm supposed to put it back together, and I have to do that. I have to because they don't know how important this is. And now we're heading to Greenshield. We're heading to Shield's Green. waters frozen, solid, still waters, still waters. I'm sorry. I have a hard time reining it in now. It's getting worse. It really is. It's getting worse.
Yeah, there's a timer that's about run out, isn't there?
Yes, yes. I'm I'm trying to keep it down. It the screamings are so the screamings are so terribly loud, and I know I know Mordecai is trying to hold it together too, and Norlai staying upon the paths and being curious about her past with her own faith, and Bright holding on for dear hope. Oh, poor Bright. I admire her naivete. I really do. And it's going to be taken away. It's going to be. I can't help it. I can't.
Now you're in an interesting, maybe fortunate or unfortunate position where you maybe besides Celine, but I guess more in a direct contract of sorts. You've experienced this, and here with Bambartilus, you've seen a man who was able to break an oath. Does this what does this leave for you as an impression? Is this something hopeful? Is this man a fool? Is this disaster on the horizon? What is happening here from your position with your own unique bond?
It. Shoneroth is the wheel, is the turning, is the time. He is eternal because we are here, and because we're here, we know he is constant. The pact that was offered was broken, and was broken with the want of freedom. And if freedom was what I wanted, if I wanted to take back that naivete, then I would. I truly would. But that's not what's at stake. That's not. What's at stake is oh, poor Norlai.
Hmm.
Things have to happen. I scream at them. I need them to know that this is not by accident. This is not by random chance.
Mm-hmm.
But they won't listen. That her brother made a choice. He thinks he did, but his path was going to be walked. It was just filled with the shoes. And I wonder if she would trade paths with him. If she knew.
Mm.
If she knew. But she doesn't. She's like Brian. It's all a happenstance. It is something that is malleable rather than cause effect. I know that it's cause and effect, and so long as that remains, so long as he's safe, then I'm locked on this path. Because that's all that matters.
Well, I appreciate your insight, and while the grains of the grains of sand, you may not have as many left as you were hoping. I did notice that in the recent kerfluffle, you did step up, and with Norlai, maybe to make her understand, or maybe just as a reflex or an outreach, you're a bit of a big sister there, whether she knows it or appreciates it or not. But then again, in your understanding, whether we know You know, why the seasons happen, why the water runs or is still, why everything works in cause and effect. We're still a part of it. The leaves are going to fall whether we're aware of them or not. So, all right. Well, thank you, and we'll see where this goes from here. And now, lastly, and not leastly, unless we're talking about weight and stature, let's go over to Bright. Hi, Bright.
Hey.
How are you? You put in some work just recently.
I know it was some new spells, and it's always nice to learn new spells and get them to work properly on the first try. And so that was fun, but it was kind of, I mean, I don't feel like I really accomplished anything. I mean, I did because nobody died, so that was good. But at the same time, the demon is not gone, and she might be back. But she probably won't be back for us. She'll probably just be back for my Bambartilus. So that's probably going to be his problem next time, because I don't think we're going to stay here for more than another few hours. Maybe just long enough to get patched up. I don't know. But I don't really feel like I learned anything last week. It was pretty much just a continuation of the previous one. I still feel the same way I did before. I feel bad for Jade and concerned for Norlight because, I mean, I think she's going to get bad news when we get to Greenshield. I don't know what the bad news is going to be, but my guess is it's probably not going to be hugs and rainbows with her brother. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like we just need to keep going on so that we can find out, you know, Faye, trying to make them go away. Okay, that's all.
Yeah, well, and now that you're, especially within a very heavily forested area, not that the Fae need trees, but they're very closely associated. You know, I don't know, Bright, do you feel like you're walking into like a lion's den sort of a thing, or is this going to be nice because you're surrounded by trees and heavy forest again?
I mean, I like trees and forests. I like Bambartilus because, I mean, it's not really a gnome house because it's too big, and you know, it's not quite the same, but it's similar, and I like it. I appreciate that, but we still have to keep going.
Yep, ever onwards. Very well then. Well, I reckon, and we can go back to where we were, which is this kind of this logging camp here. And Delcorin, thank you for the host. Here we had, in the immediate aftermath of a rather fierce fight with some fiends that... and thank you, Black Wolf, also. With some fiends that had taken over the bodies of a larger lumber camp that was nearby. And unfortunately, there's not much that can be done, as the bodies were simply meat puppets, or skins were being worn by these rather grisly demons. However, you were able to put them down and maybe discover a little bit about the nature of these beasts or what's happening. Bambartilus and his two sons, Glenn and Gary, have gathered. You all are here. Norlai is kind of being a wallflower, hanging out with Brayson over on the island. But everyone else is rather close together here. And this is where we can pick up the scene. What would you like to say or do, explore? The actions shift to you.
Well, I'm pretty much tapped.
Can we
The
go
bodies
now?
were reduced to ash, yes?
I think so.
The fiends don't exist. They kind of just dissolved or powdered. But there are the bodies of the lumberjacks, well, or the remains of the lumberjacks that were inhabited by these things that are littered around.
Might not be a bad idea to collect those and put those on a pyre.
They just like skin.
Pretty much. I mean, there's some bony bits with as, well, I'd say with as large, but it's really with as small as these little things that looked like they were just made of like fat and gristle and just kind of like nasty, like solidified pus and all this other stuff. They only took up really like the chest cavity and the head. So in the extremities, like almost like they were piloting a little flesh suit, there is still muscle and bone. It's really kind of a grab bag, a very grisly grab bag of what's there.
Maybe an actual grab bag. So I guess if you wanted to burn those, that would be okay. Although I'm kind of more curious about Bambartilus. Like, isn't it lucky that we came along right at the same time? I mean, I don't know, would you have been able to fight them off yourself?
Oh. I have before with my sons. I can tell you it would have gone a lot worse, and we would have been a lot more injured for it. Your presence here was a blessing in its own way. Thank you, because I've been fighting and running for so long. In many cases it's the same, but I always worry. Is this just enough to keep me going? Enough to keep me scared so I can't really rest? A reminder that I'm something annoying or small? Does she actually mean to kill me? Or my sons? Well, I suppose in fairness they're hers too. Bright, I wish I could tell you that I had more answers, or that I was a good man and I'm justified in running away, even from those oaths that I pledged. But what you saw is a part of my past that catches up with me. And with our discussion, I'd love to be able to do something about it. I'm not going to get any younger, and frankly, my boys deserve better than traveling, doing odd jobs, and a life of hard labor and fighting. What should I do, though? If I fight, I go back. What if I give in? I've thought about it. What if I just go back and I just submit once more? I repledge my oaths and I just go with it. Because I get tired.
Well, that seems like it would be easier in the short run, but maybe not the best choice. So the thing about
yourself.
Oaths, usually it's supposed to be harder to keep them than to break them. So if your oath is not like that, then I think your oath might be backwards. What is it about, like, why is it doesn't seem right?
Can you either rephrase that? I don't know if I missed out a couple words, or the Discord's been a little kind of robot voicey for me.
Kind of derpy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I said if usually it's easier to break the oath than to keep it. That's kind of how temptation is usually. So if it's easier for you to break your oath than to keep it, I think maybe your oath is in backwards.
The temptation's always there. But when I broke the oath that I shared with my wife, I did swear a new one. It's how I've lived. It's how I've operated. I need something in front of me, a goal. I need a horizon to pursue. And so I replaced the one that I had sworn with one more that I forged for myself. I'm holding my own carrot on a stick in front of me. And if I had my way, I would actually be the end of my wife and all the things that she does, all the harm that she causes, all the lives that have been tempted and manipulated and destroyed.
Oh, Bambartilus.
Yes, Jade.
I would ask a simple question. Something that I think will add much clarity to your position.
I'm a simple man, and I will provide you a simple answer, I'm sure.
What is the one thing you want?
myself?
No. No, the one thing you want. I never said for yourself or for others. It's not often we make pacts for only ourselves, and if you are, in fact, father you aspire to be, I would suspect it would have nothing to do with you.
I want a good life for Glenn and Gary. I want them to, well, I'd say grow up, but look at them, and then like they look, they're kind of like, you know, they have one arm on each shoulder, and of course when they're together like that, you know, in between them, depending on which side they're on, you either have like a whole human or a whole tiefling, and then the extremities on the outside. But you know, they're together. They have their arms over each other's shoulders, and they kind of both give you a heads up, or not heads up, a thumbs up. I want them to have the best life that they can have, and I don't think that's with me. I've tried my best, and I think I've instilled everything I can in them, except the one thing that I hope they have. I mean, that's their own freedom, that they're not chased down, that the sins of the father are not going to be visited upon my boys.
If that's the case, then your path becomes all too clear, doesn't it?
Yes. I suppose it has been for some time, but while the path has been clear, I've always taken others. I've explored other choices, other options. There has to be something else. There has to be something, somewhere we could go, something I could learn, something I could do. And unfortunately for me, I believe that all my paths are going to lead to Oldport.
And if that is the case, we may cross paths again. But for you and your sons, ultimately the decision was made long before you or your great-grandfather were born. You're simply discovering your path.
I don't like to think like that. I like to think that I'm a man who can make my own decisions.
You are a man who can make your own decisions. We all have our choices every day.
I've made so many choices. And whether I like them or not, they were willful ones. I have fought against feeling like it has been all for nothing, that this is simply fatalistic, that it was meant to be, as Miss Jade here has stated. I feel that if that were the case, I'd be invalidated as a man, as a husband, even an ex-husband, as a father. And that I simply am here to exist and not to make an impact in some way in the world. To be an agent, even if I was bound by an oath, but one where I was in control of my destiny. I was in control of my choices, as shameful now as I look back on some of them being.
I don't know if you can really do that. I don't think you can take an oath that says you just do things that you want to do. An oath has to be binding yourself to a cause or to another person, or call it an oath and then do things that you want to do.
I did, but then I grew and I changed. I learned, and maybe that oath wasn't right. And it led to where I am now. Especially with something as large as that, Bright, as important as it is to make this vow that almost seems to... I don't know how to describe it. When I'm on the log on the river, I take some time to observe what's around me. I try to compose thoughts or songs. It's never been my strong point, but I still try. And the words don't always come out as they should. But I almost feel like it stuck me in the past, where I had to be the same man every day when I just couldn't be. Maybe other men could. Maybe that's fine for some, but I made my choice, and I made it willfully. I submitted myself, my services, my sword, my soul to my now ex, and yet I continued down a path. I continued forward, and I couldn't be the man that she wanted for all time. I change, I grow, I learn. Even if I'm not the best, I'm not the most outspoken. And the vow I swore to myself, as selfish as it might seem, reflects that. Just a cork on rough waters. And the boys come over, and each of them gets on the side of their dad and kind of pat. No, Dad, you've been a good dad. Come on, you've taught us well. Look, we've survived this long. We can keep going. We're happy. We can do this. We can keep going. There's so much out there to learn. Yeah, we've been lumberjacks for a while, but now what's next? I've always wanted to be a master fisherman, and they're kind of going over some things. As they're talking, any of you can bring something else up if you'd like.
Oh, I don't know about that. I would think that your decisions are based off of your experiences. Your experiences are the results of a decision, and not necessarily your own. It compounds. It builds. You follow the trail. You make the best decision you could with what you were given, but what you were given was based off of a previous decision, which was based off of the previous knowledge of another. This continues. So I would wonder, do you really think that it's your decision? Because you were so close to understanding it, how it really is. But it's too hard. And you can't face that. And you say that you want that wonderful piece for choice. You want choice. But you don't want to admit that you didn't have one in the beginning. Your confusion is not a choice. Your boys were not a choice. The blood on your hands was not a choice. And you walk and feel like a empty vessel. But that's exactly what we are. And the sooner you know that, the sooner you can focus on why you are. Because you served a purpose. And now that purpose is standing right beside you, split in twain and yet whole.
Jade, I don't think I can argue against your words, and I haven't really been a man of words. I haven't been a man of thought. But I'll tell you, there is a way that I can communicate why I believe the things that I believe. Whether or not they're actually true, I still can't fight what is something that just is so natural. Something, maybe it's always in my peripheral vision, causing me to look and to chase. I can't use my words to express to you, Jade, why I feel and think the way I do. But there is something that I can do. And Jade, Bambartilus starts walking up to you, like he goes across the bridge. Let me express to you what speaks to me and how I speak as my own man. And this big, strong, former slash current whatever lumberjack slash paladin slash something, he sets down. He had set down his very unique and very cruelly decorated and formed sword and shield, and he comes in, and this large man just kind of gives you a hug, and he holds you close to his chest, and you can hear a powerful heart. Bop, 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 bop. Jade, that's what speaks to me and through me, and that's what I've been following. And he sets you back down, and he looks back at his boys, wipes away a tear. They have heart, and they deserve more than I can give them. No matter what my own heart says, they have their own to pursue. At least that's what I believe is their father.
Oh, great ironies of ironies. But I wouldn't worry too much about what you can or can't give them. I wouldn't. Because it wouldn't matter in the end. And I feel distraught to you, but let me give you a little secret.
He leans down
It
to you.
It all works in your favor in the end of it all.
Does it now? Will I be a grandfather, sitting in a comfy cabin by a fire on my last days?
Better. And you won't believe it until it's over. And then you'll remember this moment. And I know this because he knows this. Not because of some reward. Do not mistake this for karma. This is just how it has to be.
He's considering it, and he offers you a, well, I guess we'll see, in a way that might sound dismissive. The inflection to it, the body language is, it's not patronizing, but he does. Oh, thank you, Vasil. In fact, I'll write that down because I do not have the. There's a tracker I keep up on the workshops about going to TwitchCon, and every little bit and Fickle God donation and all that is going towards helping me fly out to California. So thank you very much for that. All right. So sorry for that. So he looks at you, Jade, and thank you. You know, you didn't have to. I know I come across as intimidating to many people, especially nice young ladies like yourself. And being a grizzled old soldier can just really compound things. It's difficult to communicate. And my boys just... He looks over at them. They're kind of just checking on some stuff. In fact, I see Peggy Sue's over by one of them, by Gary. And so, I don't know, Gary's just sort of like interacting with Peggy Sue and just kind of looking in wonder. It's not often you get a flying unicorn kind of zipping around and such. But I appreciate your insight, and I have listened to your words. You there, Noralai! You can only do so much to that donkey. Come here. Are you all right?
No.
Have you been hurt?
I'm alright.
Well, come closer. You don't need to stay away from us. We're here to celebrate.
Mm. Come on, Grayson.
Brayson will follow, so
Yeah.
you can put your token wherever. In fact, you know what? Boys, get some wood from the pile. Let's keep a fire going, and maybe we could finish some lunch or bust out something from our special reserve. And they look at each other, and they kind of scamper, and they start gathering some things here. Why don't you all come in? You probably have places to be and things to do. But after all of this, and in this moment of quiet that we've fought so hard for, let me treat you.
I don't really have any more spells.
You can refuse if you wish.
I don't want to, but that would tap me out completely.
So, are we sure that this would work? Because, like, what if it...
Say again?
Well, what if it smote you instead of healing you?
You mean my own spells?
Oh, I mean Bambartilus.
Oh.
Did I misunderstand?
He's
I don't know. He said he was inviting us in.
Yeah, he's inviting you in to sit down. You've earned a rest, and he has some sort of a quote-unquote private reserve that he is willing to dip into to celebrate this moment of peace you fought for.
I'd rather just keep going.
I'd be happy to. Happy to come in. Norlai, why don't you want to stay? It's the polite thing to do. Fought together. We should also have a meal together.
I didn't want to do the fighting. I was
Hey.
hoping to get away before those things came up, but you guys all went that direction.
Okay.
And yet you were never out of my sight, Norlai. Never.
Well, I know
It got
I
messy.
lost, so I didn't keep going forward because I could have.
Bambartilus, would you happen to have a cup?
Oh,
a goblet
yes.
or something?
Yes, indeed. Here.
Thank you. Jade ends up taking it and seems to wander out of... Let's say she wanders off screen for a moment.
Okay.
It is the polite thing to do, Norlai, but
You can't even cross the river.
I mean, I would attempt.
Yeah, but you're not gonna feel good.
Yeah, what's a little discomfort?
Hmm. I don't want to be here.
I have 2 spells left, and I'm going to save them.
Mr. Bambartilus, would it be okay if you brought the drinks out here? Do that? I think we're just really enjoying the weather and the nature, and just being out here. I mean, I know it's where we just had a fight, but I think we just want to under the open sky. I'm sure as a lumberjack you can appreciate that.
Looks around. Oh.
It's a nice night.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. My natural instinct is to break bread as I normally have. I can't say that I've done so in the presence of someone with your condition, Mordecai. Like he looks from you, Bright, and then is looking over at Mordecai, and just a flash of recognition on his face as he's looking out the window here on the west side.
Strangely, my condition makes it very, very uncomfortable to go across the river, and kind of makes me sick in your house.
Yeah. No, I've experienced similar to your kind before, and from what I understand, it's not too pleasant. Oh, very well. Boys, here, come in, and help grab some stuff. And they're gonna come in. You all can gather, and he's gonna come back out with a little cask of a little cask, and tell you all, you don't have to sit and drink this, but I'll give it to you all the same as a gift.
What you got?
It's a special cider, something that I've made from the best apples here in the forest, and there's a couple other flavors thrown in there that I learned from my time down in Ucht. I'll tell you, the gnomes down there know how to make some wonderful juices and ciders.
It's an authentic recipe?
It's my own interpretation of it. I find that
Inspired,
cooking
maybe?
is a good outlet for frustration, and it lets you use your wits. What few I have rolling around.
I think this is the most wonderful thing anyone could give. Really appreciate what you're doing here. I mean, I know but it's something that I was actually never really all that good at, and so home cooking it's hard for me to get it, because even just cooking for myself alone, it's just not the same, and really appreciate you going out of your way to do things that feel like home, even if you didn't do it knowing it was going to be for me. I still really like that.
And the boys brought out something for you all as well. They have a very simple little wooden chest, and inside Glenn opens it, and there are all kinds of cookies that are in there. However, they are very intricately decorated, and not just like with frosting and some sprinkles, or kind of like the basic Christmas cookie for us that we see. The sweet dough has been like sculpted. It's not just our little round splot of cookie dough that's been baked, but they have fine detail. It's almost like you're looking at little clay figurines, but these are cookies. Yeah, well, my brother and I wanted to give you something too. It's only right and proper, and you helped us to continue on, and I don't know where we're going to go with Dad, but we'll go somewhere and we might see you again. I think it's only right that you have these, and just as he made the cider, this is something that my brother and I are particularly good at that he isn't. And so here, I want you to take these. And he'll... let's see. Heads, it's Mordecai. Tails, it's Norway. Heads, Mordecai. Mordecai, he walks up and gives you this little, like, when I say it's like a little wooden chest, it's not like super heavy. It's rather thin, and it's not really meant to keep people out. It's just meant to be a container of sorts. But the woodworking is rather good quality. The hinges, there's nothing metal. It's just sort of, it's a wooden pin through some wooden holes. Everything is rather natural about it here. There's a locking mechanism in so much it's like a little loop. It's a little loop that can go through a hole. But you have these particular cookies, and you all are told that as Glenn and Gary have gone and they've gathered different plants and some different things to make and to throw into them. Each of them, kind of like Dad's cider. Every batch is going to be different. The cookies, they have different flavors, and while the cookies are baking in the brick oven they have, They're in there and they are actively sculpting the dough, and they're like kneading it inside the fire as they can, in order to make sure that as it bakes and rises, they can apply some new dough to fill in any cracks. They can use some tools inside of the stove as the cookies are baking to shape them up, because the fire doesn't phase them, and so you get these cookies that have been sculpted as they were baking and filled in, and each of them have their own, some of them have some walnut pieces in it, and others have some mint and some other things that are growing here locally for the season. So you have some custom tiefling cookies. In fact, you have
It's an interesting technique.
you have 17 tiefling cookies.
Thank you.
And a wooden chest, if whatever that counts. The cask that holds the cider is a little 2-gallon wooden cask, and it has some probably beeswax from some local hive somewhere, sealing a cork in the bung. Which, I mean, there's a modern parlance for it, but that's the name for it. The hole that's in the barrel that you can pour out of. You actually call it horns or tails? I like that. I'll have to remember that for next time. I just saw that.
If you want, we can crack it open.
That's up to you. You can save it. You could trade it. You could drink it. You could throw it in the river. Let someone randomly find it. Maybe we could test out Jade's theory that whoever was along the river on that day was supposed to receive that cider. It's up to you.
I'd prefer not to throw it in the river.
Nah.
That would be my least preferred option.
It's at this point. Oh, go ahead,
I
Brad.
was just going to say, if we drink it, and then we could put a note in the bottle and throw that into the river.
That sounds like fun.
It does, yeah.
That part of the
think
bridge
I'm old
is
enough
well
to
down
drink that.
the stream by now.
Okay.
Mordecai. Yeah, Mordecai. That cup is now kind of pressed against your shoulder, and a bandaged arm is holding it.
What's this?
If we're going to break bread, I'm not going to be doing so while you're sitting there here trying to pretend like you're not drinking.
I can still drink.
But not derive sustenance from. And I need you healthy for a corpse. This is about as far as this kindness goes, Mordecai, and I'm not about to have this discussion. So just say thank you, and we can move on with this. So Noralai can end up getting her wish, and we move on. Being polite to the guests, while they're continuing onward.
What do I see when I look into the cup?
It's blood. Pretty much full. And Jade is a shade of pale you have never seen. In fact, she's probably closer to translucent.
I don't want this.
It's given an offering.
Put it back in her, so...
Just bust out the funnel and top it off your oil.
We will put this back in you.
I don't know what to do with this.
Well, the question ultimately comes down to, do you believe it's the human blood that turns, or the forceful taking of it that...
There's no way to test that theory.
Oh, I
I can
don't
think of
know.
one way.
I think of a few ways right now. I think one has just presented itself.
I'm just gonna sit it down beside me and
Mhm.
just leave it there for now.
Okay.
So if we're just hanging out, that's all it's gonna do is just.
May I have a sugar cookie? I can use.
Yes, have as many as you want.
Thank you. She kind of grabs one as a centipede crawls out from under the bandage.
Yeah.
Your diet has always been strange.
Gooey. Gooey on the inside.
Jay,
I
this
definitely
this
want some
cookie,
of that cider, though.
I won't presume. I mean, you have a very unique palate, but I guess to us as players, in a very traditional sense, these are very good cookies, and they are made from what's around nature. But you're getting very interesting, subtle flavors. Again, to us as humans, translate this however you want to Jade. But they're sweet, probably sweetened with honey. Maybe some of them with a little bit of reddish hue have some sugar beets beaten into them, or some sugar cane grown by the river or something like that. They're all these shapes and sizes, so you can grab whatever cookie if you like a particular color. But the cookie you eat, regardless of the shape or size, does have a wonderfully deep and complex taste that we would consider as human players. At least I'm presuming you all are human.
I can smell thunder.
There you go.
That's probably from my magic from earlier.
And Norlai was making some ozone, that's for sure. In fact, Gary might even say, "Oh yeah, so we used some rainwater for that, and it was interesting. It was interesting to experiment."
I want to cook.
Have a cookie.
Yeah.
Have as
15
many as you
cookies
want.
remain. Norlai, this is a cookie that is just this is good stuff. Made from the heart, made from scratch. This is just this is probably one of the best cookies you've had. I can make a presumption, but
As we're just kind of like sitting around, I just set the box in front of me open so that whoever wants one can take one.
next to the cup of blood.
No, that's like on the side of me.
Okay.
Mordecai is just like, why do you keep asking me for cookies? Just have them.
Just have that.
I'm not gonna eat them.
So a bit of a picnic takes place. Bambartilus and his sons go in and they say, there's nothing for us here, and maybe we can go over to that other logging camp and see if there's anyone there, if anyone needs help, or if nothing else, we can find out, who they were sending their wood to or they're working for, and let them know that unfortunately those supplies won't be reaching their destination. You can come with if you want, but it sounds like you're going to Greenshield. You can trust us to clean up. We'll make sure that these corpses are, they're given proper rights too. You could help if you like, but we have the strength to take care of it.
You don't want to come to the city?
To Greenshield? No, we might make our way there eventually. Old Port's going to be he looks at his sons. Maybe not but my destination, the place that I need to go. Frankly, these boys need to go someplace where they can find someone nice and settle down and make me a grandpa, huh? And he kind of slaps each of his sons on the back. And the human sides of each of the sons kind of blush up a little bit. Dad, come on, we got work to do. Come on, come on, Glenn. All right, Gary, yeah. And they kind of get out of there.
I mean, you could and you couldn't. As far as like grandchildren, if that's not in your path, then that's not in your path.
Oh, I wouldn't worry about that. Jade leans over to Mordecai. Great grandfather.
That's lofty.
Okay. What's the
Alright.
current time of day?
We are. You've been traveling. It is late afternoon by this point.
I guess
Should get going.
I don't know if we're gonna have time to get to Greenshield before Jade runs out of time. I was hoping we'd be able to get her there, but it doesn't seem like we will, and that's really too bad, because, I mean, it would have been to get home, in a way. It's just kind of sad, but maybe we can... If everyone's done snacking, I would be happy to open the cider.
Yeah, let's do that.
I don't think I'm old enough to drink that.
Okay. Well, you don't have to have any. It's not alcohol in it. It's really mostly different fruits. There's apples and all the
Just
fruits that I
slightly
like.
alcoholic
Bananas,
apple juice.
strawberries, and things. Yeah, it's fine. And you don't have to have very much. You don't have to have any if you don't want any. But
I
I'm sure
love
it's
cider.
fine. I would like to open the cider, please.
Sure, easily enough done. You all have cups and other things that have been brought out. Norlai, are you partaking?
I don't know.
You can if you want to. You don't have to. We're not going to force you.
Well, you're not.
Jade, if you force her to drink, I will have words with you.
I'm just gonna eat another cookie.
Consider, Mordecai, that I could
14.
have forced you to drink.
For what?
Norlai snuck another cookie.
I noted it.
It's fine. And I would like just one cookie, please.
Okay.
Amazing, different flavors, different, different textures. Even each one is its own unique creation, and hopefully, it's not disappointing to know that these boys probably never wrote down the recipes, and you'll never have a cookie like this again. So enjoy the one that you're eating.
Very good. Okay, so there's a little gnome tradition when you serve cider. It's not very much. It's just for fun. But when you do it, you pour the cider into the cup, and then you move the cup and you do a quick flourish with it so that you can turn the cup completely upside down and right side up again without spilling the cider out. So I'll do that after I pour for everyone. Everyone gets the cider cup.
Oh, all right. We're getting some gnomish culture.
And Mordecai, you should probably put just like one little drop of blood in it.
I will. I mean, I suppose that's the only way I'll ever be able to get drunk again.
Yeah. So you need to make sure that there's enough blood in your alcohol stream.
Nice. Nice.
And here's the alcohol stream.
I am stealing that one.
All right, so Bright, you want to give you want to give this gnomish flourish, this
Yeah.
cheers? Okay. So for the rest of Yuns here, would you like to attempt this this trick as well?
I do.
Sure.
No thanks.
Norlai saying no. Okay.
I'm not drinking anyway, so.
Okay. Then Jade.
Why not?
All right. So I'm gonna
I
give.
assume Celine would too, probably.
Celine probably would as well. In fact, I can. Let me bring Celine up real quick. If I can find her. All right. So from Jade and Mordecai, go ahead and give me a acrobatics or sleight of hand.
Can I do it through performance?
Performance through Dex, sure, that's fine.
Oh, butts, okay. Well, actually, I have the same number in acrobatics. I'll do acrobatics.
Oh, Jade spilled her cider.
Oh. So Mordecai, you very deftly, do that twist and turn. I mean, Bright makes it look natural because she's grown up doing it, and you can imagine that she's had quite a few things spilled on her head. She was learning that move. Jade,
Lots of practice.
This is your first time, and unfortunately, Jade, your cider is going to is going to dump out, and you have a wet head.
How funny.
Hey, this is cause for celebration. Whenever anyone spills their first cider, it's a good portent.
Oh, the cider's blessed you then.
Good job. So it was a solid try.
I think that idea was so that gnomes could justify pouring cider on each other.
I mean, sure.
But officially, it's a good omen.
So this is amazing cider. It does have a little bit of an alcohol content to it. Not enough that's going to put you all on your butts, but it does get a little bit of a zing to it there. Jade, the cider is very aromatic, and you're wearing this very wonderful perfume, and so you're attracting some bees.
Does that mean Jade stings them?
That's up to you. If you wish to discourage the bees from swarming around your face, you have a whole toolbox full of options.
Honey is good, but why wait?
You want to catch them and eat them?
I'm pretty sure that's just the natural progression of this, yeah. Let's just think back to Jade's history and think of what's happening here. She's not so much going to be swarmed by bees so much as she's a honey trap.
Very good. Then you all are packing up, winding things up here, and you're getting a bonus snack then. You're getting some fresh, like, early spring bumblebees. They have a nice... they're kind of like Gushers, if you've ever had one, the little gummies that have, like, a little bit of fruit juice in them. So, you catch a nice big fat bumblebee, you give it a chomp, and, just an explosion of flavor in your mouth.
Little known fact, bumblebees and the grass that grows around the wells in Greenshield, they actually make a very nice tea.
Her unique cooking is it hasn't let you down.
Interesting.
I would like to attract a bee with Herbert.
Herbert's never really attracted bugs.
Darn.
He doesn't necessarily have a particular aroma either.
But he has petals, so he should still have pollen.
Well, there are petals. But Herbert's different.
Herbert's a carnivorous plant.
I might eat the bee. Like a pitcher plant, and the bees, they get attracted, but then, it's bad for the bees.
Herbert does not eat the bugs. Herbert ate the gardener.
Oh.
Norlai, would you like to give me a nature check as you are discovering that I have a flower. I should be able to attract bee. Oh my!
Why is it never working?
Well, Norlai, it's completely baffling, and you say, petals should attract bees, and you're just there like. I guess you never were taught the birds and the bees of the birds or of the flowers and the bees. And he's like, Herbert, come on. He pointed towards a bee and just, you have petals, do something. And the nature of the situation isn't necessarily there. However, if anyone else is anyone proficient in nature, and actually I'll double check Celine because she has a lot of different knowledges.
Nope. Not
No.
me.
Nah, not Celine. She's unnatural.
You know, they say you can attract more flies with honey than with vinegar, but it's not true. Vinegar works a lot better.
Very well. So the sounds from inside of the hut, as the father and his sons are gathering their things, they come out and they have backpacks and they tell you all, I don't know if you need anything. We have the things that we need to move on. There's some common stuff in there. I don't know if you can keep those wooden cups if you'd like. We'll be able to make more, get more. But we're going to have to leave this behind and move on. She knows where we are and, well, where we were now. And it's time that we hit that trail and find out what does lie ahead of us. Even if it's already written, we're not aware of it, Jade, and I suppose that'll be the fun in the discovery.
We wish you luck.
And you. It sounds like you all you've been caught up in something that it's a lot greater than yourselves. And, well, I certainly did ask for my lot. I don't know if any of you necessarily did. Well, and he kind of gazes over at Jade, and Bambartilus comes back over to you. He kind of leans in. Did you, you spilled some cider.
No, I did not spill cider. I wore cider.
There's
Well, Jade.
To spill would be here to assume that a small quantity of it had been removed. Otherwise, it would be referred to as dumped, and either way the description does not match. I'm trying to remain civil.
He looks down at you because, I mean, Bambartilus is a tall dude. Like, he's definitely over 6 feet. And what, Jade is like five foot something? Like
For a brief moment in time, Jade understands what Bright goes through on a daily basis.
and he just looks down at, you're giving this almost defiant, like, almost like a petulant child up to a father figure here. And you're like, no, I didn't spill it. You're dumb. And he just looks down at you and, oh, Jade, sure. Yeah. What does an old man like me know? Oh, Jade. Thank you. If I were to have a parting gift, then a good, healthy laugh is definitely one of it. Especially given all that's happened. I think I needed that, Jade. I really appreciate it. And you're on your own path, and I wish you well, and maybe ours will cross someday, and we'll compare notes, and we'll see if this dumb old man knew what he was talking about following his heart, or for a bright little girl like you, who's following her mind, where will they meet? And he gives you that, like, under the chin, like that, ooh, that, and he ruffles your cidery hair, and all right, boys, we got someplace to be, and we got to figure things out.
Before you go, I have one last thing. Would you be interested in learning some new recipes?
Oh, of
Because
course. Yeah, as much as we travel, I'd love to learn more.
I have this book of recipes that someone who's very dear to me gave me, but I'm never going to use them. And I thought that you might enjoy them.
He takes the book and... Oh. Now, hold on. These are dwarven.
Yeah, they're dwarvish.
Well, you don't see that around here.
I got it from one of the dwarven families in Browbeat.
Oh, a rare find. Are you sure, Bright?
Yeah, I mean, It has sentimental value, so be sure to take good care of it, but I think you can use it more than I can.
I'll be sure to take good care of it, Bright. And I believe the recipes therein are going to take good care of me, too. And he smiles,
so.
and he kind of like squats down with his hands on his knees as he looks at you, and he says, I hope that, well, being a man of my size and knowing your people, I hope that you aren't underappreciated, Bright. And I'm sorry, that's not a short joke. And
it's okay. I like short jokes.
And he gives you a head pat. He's like, I'm sorry, that might be demeaning, but damned if it's not compulsive.
I know.
What is it about you people that you just need head pats? I don't get it.
We're very cute.
No.
We're cute people. Okay. Well, I think it's time to head out. I don't want to make... I like long goodbyes, but only up to a point.
Yeah, you might be able to reach Greenshield by evening. Just stick to the trail. We've traveled it enough, and unless there's something waiting for you, there shouldn't be anything waiting for you. And he smiles very widely.
Cross.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense.
Oh, about that, Mordecai, there is some water that flows through Greenshield. It's part of the milling, part of the runoff from the mountains, and a way that they can send lumber down the various streams to get to the Perfume River. Be prepared for it, however that you can. A little heads up for you. Sorry, I keep forgetting because, well, honestly, you don't carry yourself like the others that I've experienced.
So your son said. I don't know what that means.
But he'll come up, and Bambartilus will offer you not just a hand, but like he'll offer you the forearm clasp as well. And this man by class is definitely a paladin, and paladins require strength mechanically. But being a lumberjack as well, on top of that, as well as anything else, he has a good firm grip, and gives you. Dry firm, 3 seconds, and there you go. A very good Swanson arm clasp here. And now we come over to Celine is here. We'll get an interaction, but I'll do it if Lethality's around, just so it's customizable. And then so after saying what he'll say to Celine, Bambartilus is going to come over to you, Noralai, and he's not going to like bend forward with his knees, with his hands on his knees, but instead he's gonna squat down, and he'll actually be, looking either, it depends on how tall you are. He's probably looking slightly up, like as he's trying to make himself smaller in front of you. Nothing pervy. You can call him out for that if you want. That is kind of your trademark. But he just kind of squats down in front of you and looks up, and Noralai. Yeah, you're on an interesting path yourself, and I hope that you'll find what you seek, and in some ways I can see myself, my past self, in the things that you seek and your hopes and aspirations. And I wish I could do more to give you some advice or to talk sense to you, and honestly, I think Jade might feel the same way about me. This is kind of like personal to you over the side, Noralai. I mean, as players, y'all are hearing this, but this is kind of, he's trying to like whisper some advice to Noralai about this. Although Jade, you'll see that he kind of chuckles and looks back at you as he's looking, and then he turns his head back to Noralai. You're on an interesting path, and I hope that you can learn from it. It might be filled with tragedy and pain and loss, and I think that you're going to have to confront some things that maybe you never hoped to. It's easy, and I say this, well, with an interesting context. It's easy to destroy a shambling mound of skin possessed by a demon, but it's not so easy to confront the monsters inside yourself, the dark places. And he kind of reaches up and he taps the gem on your sternum. The things that are in here are often more dangerous or more fearful than some kind of an external enemy. I'm an old man who's done a lot of things in my life, and killing others has been a lot easier than confronting my own past, and you see what can happen if you let that catch up to you. And with that, I would also say that if you're the past in some way that's chasing your brother, don't be like my ex, please. Learn to love yourself, learn to not manipulate others, learn to accept who and what you are, and not, well, other choices. Does that make sense, Norlai? I'm sorry, I know you're younger, and I don't mean to talk down to you. I might even be repeating words that your own father told you.
No, he didn't really say things like that.
Oh, well, then, from a father of sorts, not to you, but someone who understands, especially perhaps the unique condition of being a tiefling here in Mesomaska, take my advice from my heart and to yours, and I hope that you will continue to grow and be a wonderful woman someday. And he'll kind of get up and stretch. You can't be a little girl forever, whether you like it or not. And he'll go and he goes to instinctively go for the head pat, but with your unique crown of horns, he stops his hand just and kind of gives you that that slow, like, go get him, slugger, kind of a, like not a punch, but that contact on the chin, and a boop on the nose. All right, boys, come on, we got to go check out the logging camp, see what's going on there. Yeah, Dad, coming, Dad. And off up the trail through the forest they go. Boop, in another direction.
Alright.
Did we have time for a short rest?
Yes. A short rest, and if any of you do want to go through the house and see what's been left behind, you're welcome to do so.
I mean, I'd like to go in and look around, but I'm really more interested in the architecture and the construction than in searching for things. But if I find something fun, I might look at it, maybe.
If it wasn't gonna hurt me, I would join you.
Okay. Well, if I see anything that I think you might like, I'll show you.
Perfect.
Okay. Inside is an assortment of mundane things, simple wooden furniture, utensils. There's you'd probably find something like a woodcarver's kit that's been left behind. We'll say, I don't know, like a couple hand axes or hatchets. Some food. That could be like the equivalent of trail rations, because he's taken some, but we'll say that there's about 7 days of dried roast honey nuts and berries that have been preserved in honey and all kinds of different naturey snacks that have been left behind in the pantry.
I would like these very much.
And inside as well is a very interesting, very interesting rig that it looks like 2 harnesses that are attached by some kind of a leash or something along those lines. And in thinking it over and thinking back here, while there was something impromptu about the boys' coordinated efforts with the demons and dashing forward, it looks like these might be 2 sort of collars or harnesses for tiefling tails, and that you could put like a rope or something, or you could otherwise like keep the tails together through this rig. It's nothing elaborate, but it might have been used for for something. It seems to have a practical purpose. You know, because how often do you need to, you know, run with your twin at a tree to bind some demons to it? That was impromptu because it was just a rope tied, but this seems to be a particular kind of a binding, like a tail bind.
How much does it look like it weighs?
Probably 5 pounds. It is made of rather thick, like some leather bits and some wooden bits and some hempen rope and such.
Okay. I'm gonna hang on to it, but I'm not gonna make a big deal about it.
Okay. Inside as well, you do find you find 3 sets of what would they? I guess we can call them toe spikes. There's something you could strap to your boots, and you could kick your foot into a tree trunk in order to get some traction.
Okay, that sounds like something good. So I'm gonna take some rations, so that'll bring me up. I was out actually, so that'll bring me up to 9 rations.
Okay.
And I'm gonna keep the tiefling harness, but I'm not gonna tell anyone about it.
Okay.
And I'll bring out the climbing spikes too. And I'll show those off. I'll tell everyone. I found some climbing spikes, and they're handy. And if not, they're just kind of.
We'll go ahead and put that in the gear that Brayson's carrying.
Okay.
They will fit a medium-sized creature. I mean, it'll probably take a little tinkering. They're not magical, because the father and the 2 boys are rather strapping lads. So they're a little larger. You might be able to concoct something, bright if you wanted to wear these toe spikes for some reason.
Yeah, I probably am not going to need them, but if nobody wants them, we can leave them behind.
Well, it's up to everyone else. I mean, it's nothing to snooze at to get up a tree.
Does anyone want them? Going once?
We'll take them.
Okay, you can have them.
We'll say that they weigh like a pound each. They're not particularly heavy, because it's really just a strap with a metal bit with some like slightly curved spikes at the end. This will not give you a climb speed, but mechanically, if you're climbing a tree while wearing them, if you strap them on, I'll be more generous with any athletics checks, because you're getting some traction.
Fair enough. We all could use that for athletics. So yeah, they're going in Brayson's inventory.
Okay. Besides that, I mean, he didn't leave behind his sword and shield. In fact, he did put those back in the rather elaborate trunk that was in there, and he did walk off with that. But I mean, if one of you wants 50 feet of hempen rope, you can find a rope. There's probably a 10-foot ladder and definitely 10-foot poles. You're here in a logging camp.
Well, you can never have too much rope, so let's toss some rope into the party supplies too.
Sure. We'll say there's there's some ropes of different lengths, but there's one 50-foot hempen rope, and there's even 2 10-foot segments of chain that are available if you want to take that.
Okay.
Those are a little heavier, though, so I don't know what your carrying capacity is. Offhand.
Brace. So
putting on Brayson's inventory, so I'm gonna eventually need like a character sheet for him. If I'm the one managing inventory and funds here.
I'll take
If you get him
one.
a card,
Chains are 10 pounds each.
100 something.
I will take one.
Okay. Jade has one, and Brayson has one.
She just slings it over her shoulder.
Okay.
Kind of looks at it in the same way, a high school girl looks at a new fashion accessory.
So Norelai collects pets, and Jade collects, cold metal inanimate objects. Yeah, that's.
Well, let's see. We got a harmonica. We got a doll with a bunch of pins, needles, and other dangerous objects in it. We got chain. Yeah, it seems to be about right.
Do you want one of those climbing spikes for your inventory or no?
I can do better.
Okay. Oh yeah, you've got
Yes,
spider
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, you know, she just like displaces like her shoulder joints and like walks backwards up a tree, and you know, just small stuff like that. All right, so after, I mean, you haven't, this isn't technically looting. You were offered whatever's left behind you could take. Well, there's that, and the road continues on towards Greenshield. Will you be hitting it?
Yes.
I'm ready.
All right.
Yes.
Back on the trail you go, and the shadows are getting longer. You are walking through some very beautiful scenery here. Oh, Journeyman, thank you for re-upping the subscription, and welcome. For any of you out there, Journeyman is an awesome artist, and he just got back from GaryCon in Wisconsin not that long ago. And Journeyman, I'm presuming that you were awesome and successful, given the fact that you need to go into a torpor for a while to rejuvenate yourself. So the shadows are getting longer as the evening light is coming in through the canopy of the trees. It's creating all kinds of colors. You know, some trees don't have a lot of buds, some have like new, fresh green ones, and yet you have the strong, like the oranges and yellows. I'll draw a little bit on what Derek was drawing on last night. And it's playing through the colors of the leaves, and it's creating almost like a living stained glass effect all around you as you look up and you see the canopy lit up, and you see, you know, the light and the shadow playing across the ground, you know, moving and swaying. We are still in spring, and so it is getting not frost temperature, but you're dipping down in the evenings now, so there's a crispness. You can see a little bit of your breath. And the trail continues onward until it is nighttime, and you reach the first buildings. On the outskirts of Greenshield. The path is filled with cobblestone that has some moss and grass growing between it, packed with dirt. There's some cottages that are lit up from within, very soft light. Lots of plants are growing in gardens, even despite the springtime. It is very, very quaint. And as you approach, there is a sign that is in the middle of a flower, like a little flower arrangement. You know, it's like the tulips, the first tulips of spring are starting to push up and open up in an array of colors. And there is a sign that says "Welcome to Greenshield" in several languages, or it would if it wasn't for the fact that there was like a big scraping gouge taken out of it.
Oh.
I see the gouge. It's right there on the screen.
Yep.
It's at this point Jade is quick to try and end up making her, well, for lack of a better term, clothing act more like a hood, trying to hide her face more than anything. As she looks to the sign, breathes a heavy sigh. Well, I suppose you all want to get rested, so let's head on over. The tavern's this way.
Are you alright?
It's coming.
I want to investigate the sign to see if there's something I recognize about that claw mark.
Sure. Go ahead and roll investigation then, Mordecai. Ooh,
That's a
look
crit.
at that, 21.
Really investigated that sign.
Mordecai, so you're looking at it, you're thinking, you're taking in the clues that are around you, and nothing that even necessarily required a perception. You're seeing a couple odd things, and that is, upon your arrival to the outskirts, there is in fact nice front and center a sign with several gouges in it. But your eye is also drawn around, and you see that there's a kind of a quickly patched roof, and it's not exactly a branch or a log in the road, but there's a door standing in the road as well. And while there is a soft glow coming from the various, cottages and cabins here as you're entering suburban, such as it exists, suburban Greenshield, no one's come out to greet you. Are
there people on the roads at all?
No, there are not.
Be on your guard.
So how long has it been since my mage armor? I cast it earlier in the day.
It's been, we'll say you've been walking for about 5 hours down the road, and now you're reaching here on our spring evening.
Okay, so I'm gonna cast mage armor again.
Okay.
Norla, you've got anything either you can prep?
I'm gonna cast mage armor.
I don't like this. I don't
Okay.
like this at all.
Roll a d20 for me. Oh, do you want your ability back too, don't you?
You can hold on to that one.
Oh, I can. How generous of you. Very well. I'll hold a class feature hostage. Okay, so that's not a 1. Your mage armor casts successfully.
I mean, you can decide.
I can. I'm offering if you want to, at this point, if you want to purposely bleed off the inevitable, you can here now. Otherwise, I can very much decide otherwise.
I'll wait till I'm maybe surrounded in case I get a fireball, because then I could just...
All right, so action economy here. All right.
Jade, do you know who lives in these buildings? What these are for?
Matty, I have to ask an out-of-character question.
Okay.
Given the amount, a little bit of phlegm. Problem with speaking like Jade for a while. Do you think Jade would still end up retaining a good portion of knowledge? Yeah, I'm under the impression that it's like old village. The family stay. There isn't.
This isn't necessarily Greenshield proper. Greenshield is a larger, it would be like a small city. What you've reached is, as I said, like the suburbs. So these are little cottage industries, and just that there's people who live here. They're woodworkers. They paint. They repair carts, and they do it out of their houses. And so this is very quaint, very. Very homey, very country. Not that you have a long way to get to the main portion of Greenshield. But on this buffer, it is just a very, you're in a residential Cracker Barrel right now. Like it's just there's all the country goods and doodads and such, and so that's what you're seeing here is this outskirt area has apparently some trouble.
The reason I'm bringing that up is simply because of the question, like, do you know, right?
Right.
And I'm wondering, would she? I'm fairly certain she would, but I don't want to make that call as a player if that impacts you.
Well, as you are still in, I don't know what mode or mentality we want to call it, but until otherwise, while you're fighting against it right now, you are still Lucid Jade, or Jade Lucid Form, and we'll spell it with the E at the end, kind of like the Pokemon version. And so memories are probably going to be more easy to come across, but even in like normal Jade, Greenshield is just a very obvious, folksy village, not a village, but a folksy small city. In fact, because of the waterworks and the sawmills, there is rotation and gears and things. So whether that's comfortable or not, that you could draw on that. But maybe the smaller, finer details. The smell of walking past old Granny Johnson's house, and she always was making apple pies. She
threatened me with a cane once.
Yeah. But the question is, what did you do to earn that?
It involved something with a dog, an apple pie, 3 children, and a brick. I'm not sure of the order.
So very well. Jade recalls a memory. Mordecai, as you're investigating here, and so such is how
Don't
the
go
outskirts
near
of
that
Greenshield's
house.
supposed to be.
Never go near that house.
Old Granny Johnson's place on the hill here. You know, it's supposed to be abandoned, but they say late at night you can see lights in the windows and people moving around.
Why wouldn't you go there? Rabbits. Rabbits.
Oh, Journeyman, I'm really glad that that helped out. That is awesome. I'm so happy for you, dude. Yeah.
So yeah, let's approach with caution. If having the doors ripped off and gouges in the building does not sit well with me. So I'm going to slowly approach the city.
I'll go with.
Okay.
And also
I'm
Peggy
going
Sue.
to stay in the back of the group, just hiding behind in the shadow. One of the group, the faceless, nameless group.
All right, you're gonna have to race Norlife for that position then, because
I've got one hand on my rapier just in case.
I have one hand on my tiny unicorn, just in case.
I'm holding pets, so.
Yeah, Jade, I mean, do you not want to be home? I thought you'd be excited.
Why
Trouble,
would
or
I?
are you in trouble?
Yes.
Both.
All right.
Yes.
Would you ever promise to never see the one you love if you knew that they were going to be okay?
What?
Promises.
I'm very confused.
Finally, we have something in common, Mordecai.
I'm not. It makes sense to me. Jade did a lot.
All right.
She is who she is because she needed to protect her brother. And now that she's home, she's afraid that, or maybe she knows that about disrupting what she's done for him. So no wonder she wants to hide. It's not that she doesn't want to see her family, she can't see her family.
I don't think I'd like that. I already can't see my family.
I just give Norlai a little pat on the shoulder.
Taverns this way. The taverns this way. We'll get there soon. You can eat. You can sleep. You can enjoy song and fire and hearth and warmth and all the comforts of home and stop firing! Stop fire!
all right, you continue on. And
Are there any? Sorry.
Go
Are
ahead.
there voice problems? Are there any? I have a lot of phlegm too. Are there any holes in any of the buildings big enough for Peggy Sue to get in through?
Yeah. There's so this one has received a kind of a slap patch of planks. But there's a couple holes over in this building that Peggy Sue could fly into the roof. You could peer in through the front door. It looks like it's been left open as well. But if you want to sit back and have her recon, you can.
I would rather have her
I'm gonna
do.
peer in from a distance.
Okay. In so doing, I don't need perception rolls. There's nothing particularly dire that's chasing after you or in a bit of a panic. Plus, you know, we have several sets of eyeballs, including an aerial shot, as Peggy the drone takes flight and kind of drops in. It appears as if people were here. I mean, there's lanterns that are burning and such. But whatever they were doing, they put it down and they walked out. There's not broken
Hurriedly?
dishes, there's not blood splatter, but there is, knitting needles with a ball of yarn kind of going up to it. It looks like they've been set down. There's evidence that people were here recently with the lights and with the activities, and they left.
Knitting?
Like, just dropped
there you go,
everything
Nordala.
and left? Like, just put things down where they were, not put them away?
Yeah. Over in, you can peek in through this door, and it looks like there's a pot of paints, or pots of paint, and there's a brush that was just sort of set down with some red paint, and a partially painted wooden toy, and a stool that has been kind of scooted away from the bench.
I'm gonna call into one of the buildings, just say hello.
No answer. Except... meow. 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 Meow.
Here, cat butt.
There's a scratching from behind a door inside that cottage. Meow. Meow.
I'm gonna open it.
Norla, you want to dash inside and open it up?
Be
Yes.
careful.
I'm gonna save the kitty. Hi,
Okay.
Farmer.
So you open the door. Mordecai's on point here. Norla, be careful. And you open the door, and sure enough, as you do, there's a cat. Meow. And it dashes past you. You can take an attack of opportunity if you want. If you don't want to attack a cat, it was going to it's going to flee out into the night.
Come back, kitty.
And you hear
Does
some distant
anyone have
meows.
fish?
And Norlai, oh, kitty, and as you're looking at this thing that this cat that is now out on the streets, Mordecai, give me a perception at disadvantage.
Oh, butts. Oh, that's a double crit!
So 24 or 24.
Oh, wow. Just
Are
wanna
you
know
on the
what?
drugs?
Mordecai, you are on the drugs.
Nope.
Mordecai, we're friends here. Come on, are you on the drugs?
No, he hasn't taken drugs since he was younger.
Mordecai has no pupils left.
Or until the nightclub not that long ago.
Except when he was younger or more recently.
Or whichever one was more recently. Oh, wait.
When I ran into Tazray the first time.
Yeah.
It's not drugs. He just rubbed his dice with cheetah blood.
Wow, so
Not expecting that.
a double crit on a disadvantaged perception here. All right, so you will in fact see this happening here. Inside the room that the cat was inside, something very quickly dashes in the darkness. Now, of course, I mean you can see in the dark. You have your special eyeballs. However, Mordecai, I want you to, well, it's really just going to be more of a heads up in this case, and you're going to get to act first here. Something dashes, and it's like you get the wobbling like a little wooden bowl, boop, 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 boop. And then you're looking around quickly. Your senses are just on fire. You're paranoid. By the way, you did leave the jade blood back behind in a bowl in the grass, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Wink, wink. All right. And suddenly, just something jumps out the darkness, like right at you. But you can react first as something that is even slightly smaller and a lot scrawnier than Bright. It just sort of like flits by. You made a very good roll on perception. Maybe it's a doll. It's something made of wood, but it's very spindly. It's very like wicker or something along those lines. And you can take an action here before it will presumably attack you. Well, a turn, not just an action.
I want to try and grab it.
Sure. Athletics then to hang on to it.
Yep. Big money. 13.
13. So it's not a crit, and let's see what happens here as I roll. All right. So Mordecai, this thing leaps. You catch it, and it's trying to struggle. It's going to get to do something now, and does a 17 hit your armor class?
Yeah, some of the cutting words.
Okay.
Oh, don't you dare.
All right, so does a 14 still
14
hit?
still hits, yeah.
Okay.
Hold on.
Is Norlai gonna bend luck?
Oh, wait. I hit the wrong one. And that.
Norlai's bending my luck on
Is
top
this
of
as
my
a
cutting words.
reaction to something, or...
Bend luck is.
Yeah, it's a reaction.
Okay.
Yeah, she
Take a
can't use
D4
Tides of
out of it.
Chaos here, but you could use Bend Luck.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I clicked it on accident because I clicked the name and it shrank. And
Okay,
then
well-
while I was moving to the thing. And,
So let's do this.
Isn't
You'll
that-
bend luck. However, your first instinct was definitely that you wanted to use Tides of Chaos. And so I definitely think this is an appropriate time for you to roll a percentile die.
Look, literally, I clicked on the title and it shrank.
This
And I
was
clicked-
meant to happen. Have you been listening to Jade?
Nobody listens to Jade until it's too late.
Okay, so I gotta roll a d100.
Yeah, roll a d100, and then if it mins out at 1, is a 13 still going to hit you, Mordecai?
No.
Okay. An 81. Oh, wow. Norlai, you can take one additional action immediately. So your natural instincts kick in, reflexes. Apparently you're on the drugs as well as you're just going supernaturally fast. Just out of instinct, you go into protect mode. But now do you attack? What are you going to do as you see in this moment? Time is kind of slowing down for you again. Hopefully there's not a big waterfall tentacle, but you get to do something as, like, in slow motion, like Mordecai catches this thing and you go, no, but then how are you going to follow through on it?
I could track and grasp it.
Are you close enough or no?
I'd be somewhat nearby you. Because I was in the house and you were outside the house. And the cat ran by you, so I would have followed the cat. And then
Yeah, that's fine. I can say
Oh,
you're
yeah, that's
close
true.
enough to be
Yeah.
adjacent. The cat's looking at me, judging me right now. The cat ran away. It's what you do
Yeah.
when I bring in groceries. Yeah. I'm drawing on real life.
And I get to use Tides of Chaos later, too.
Okay, so yes, you're tight. Yeah, that was actually a pretty good charge. So you just get this like electric tingle up. You're all adrenaline and shocking grasp, and that is definitely going to hit this creature that is kind of like struggling in Mordecai's grip, and it is going to deal 5 damage.
Not. I rolled though.
Okay, so as that happens, something about this thing like reels back Mordecai, and it goes to like strike, and Norlai just like with one hand, you see this like heat ripple of like distortion as reality is reset around you, and instead it sort of like goes back, and then with the other hand she goes forward and electricity just sort of shakes through her. It's causing your own hands to like tingle and be a little numb, like static, or like they're asleep. Nothing mechanical bad about it, just for flavor. and
I'm just hanging on to this thing.
and the little thing just sort of like and kind of like starts smoking, and it smells like wood smoke.
I'm just hanging on to it.
Yeah, like if you turn around, like there's some light and you can see color and a little bit more detail. But in the heat of the moment, this is what you got.
I let go.
Does it stop moving, or is it still?
Yeah, it's no, it's gone, Mordecai. It's gone.
The heck was that?
I don't know, but I saved you.
Jade at this point is looking at her own doll filled with pins. I have no idea.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I was drinking cider.
So
Mordecai,
you're on the drugs too.
in your hands is something that would be like a wicker doll, or like if a tumbleweed looked like it was given the shape of a humanoid but about the size of a cat. And you see that the thing that like it was going to strike, and maybe it makes you, back up a step, but its arms just sort of ended in sharp wooden points that it was trying to just like, and that could be a little bit more perilous for your health than perhaps others. But you don't have to worry about the pointy bits on this thing any longer. It does not look like the doll that has been carved and painted on the bench. This is more just a tangle of like dried.
It kind of looks like a plant creature.
Yes.
Like a dried plant creature.
Yes. Vaguely humanoid in shape.
Does it have wings?
No, it does not.
Okay. It just jumped at me.
Yeah, it just leapt up at you.
Okay.
Does it have roots?
It has feet-like things.
Because if it's plant-like and it has roots, it could be another magical plant. But it could just be some wicker doll thingy.
It could be just be an animated doll. It could be an actual plant creature like the Fae.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably... I mean, we've seen a lot of plants that are animated and like to run an attack, and so this could be one of those. I mean, it did attack Mordecai after all, so it's possible that it's just a regular defense plant like we've run into before, but also maybe
this better not be another Sanam Phi.
I mean, it doesn't have the wild surges, so that's something at least. But
Oh
also,
no, it does. Oh wait, no, that was me.
yeah, just
Came in rather handy that time.
Jade kind of looks at this thing like, is she familiar with that? Like, was it? I don't remember these here. She kind of has that look, like.
Sure. Make a history at advantage.
Oh, I think she might actually have a chance here. No chance.
All right, so if not a 4, we're going for a solid 7.
Have I heard of something like this at all?
You can go ahead and roll a straight up history here. Jade, in such a Sylvan community, there's all sorts of tales about things that live in the woods. So you're like, I'm thinking about this, but everyone just calls them,
A mysterious fickle god was summoned from the grave.
Uh-oh. Am I going to be receiving a message on Discord shortly? And so you just say, there's all sorts of...
Tell him to give me the cat pet.
Shonaroth is speaking.
Yes. And so Jay's just like, there's all sorts of stuff. People, we had all sorts of fairy tales. And Mordecai, you're like, wait a minute. I've been around. And especially fairy tales. What's the first syllable of that? We might be in for something here as with a 21 history, which is pretty darn toot and decent. Some of there are some tales and stories and songs, and especially because we're back in Get Ye Flask time, so we'll just say that these are like little babies' lullabies where you have to like traumatize them by telling them that they're going to get murdered and eaten by going into the woods. This place is known for coming up with all kinds of stories about plants that can come alive, about going into the brambles and where the plants can eat you if you've been a bad kid. A lot of cautionary tales that you're like, yeah, these are just dumb little fairy tales. These are cautionary tales. Who would ever suspect that a tree could just like come alive and eat someone or destroy things? But, there's enough of them that if you pick a grain out of every one, there are many tales that in old times there were plants that would awaken when the forest was upset. And Greenshield has always sought to live in a kind of a balance where they might be processing lumber and cutting down trees, but they plant trees in return. They try and equalize, what they take with what they give. And to live more in concordance with nature. So they grow a lot of their own food. They try and keep things as simple and natural as possible. And for many people, it's like, oh, it's quaint, it's superstition. That's just what they do. It's clearly just a tourist trap.
There's always truth to superstition.
And yet here, you have a little it'd be like a little bramble brush, a little rose bush or something that kind of dried out, that was in a vaguely humanoid form that just skittered out and tried to impale you with its stake-like arms. And there's also no people around in the immediate vicinity here.
You said it's a small creature or a tiny creature?
Tiny.
Tiny, okay.
Can I go look for the cat?
Super small.
Sure, you can go look for the cat.
Hey,
Yay.
be careful, we need to stay as a group.
Well, group, come with me. I need to find the cat. He's
Very
alone.
well, then.
He was in a room. He's probably really hungry.
Head in that direction.
Yeah.
At least we know what we're dealing with. More fey creatures.
I mean, that's what we came here looking for.
I thought we came here looking for a flower.
Oh,
I thought we were looking for my brother.
That
What are we
too.
looking for?
I mean, we could combine those all into one and look for your
We're all
fey
kind of
brother who's
looking
turned
for
into a
everything.
flower.
Oh no.
What kind of a slapdash plot is this?
I guess I'll go along with Herbert.
I'll tell you what then. If you're holding this kind of like this smoldering remains of this thing, and you're gonna go look for this cat, why don't we take about a 10-minute break here, use the restroom, get a snack and a drink, and we'll come back and continue pursuing what is here.
Oh, I have a ton of cat toys I can bring down.
Noraline wants one more pet.